Alright, we are finally in T15 maps, and I'm really excited to showcase a map that this build is specifically great at. Minus Max, Temporal Chain. I built these characters with 0 resistance, maximum rarities, and taking all the newly added movement speed node for the best farming quality. With the new change to armors applied to elemental hits, and combinations with the Tactician's Ascendancies will probably make this one of the best rarity farmings beside Ritualists, and we can also run banners later. I have to drop banners for now before getting the forced Ascendancies, but I think it's still going to be a good choice for the really endgame, helping out with the damage against tougher encounters. I wouldn't say this build is tanky by any means, but it has been surviving in T15 maps, and you can kind of see me blasting through all the content here. And it's really my ultimate goal when it comes to creating these characters. With that being said, I think this build still have quite a few problems, especially when it comes to dealing with damage over times, ailments, and getting randomly one shot here and there with the new Abyss mechanics, but maybe that's just not my problem. Hopefully, as we progress, we'll have enough damage to just kind of ignore all of that. I feel like my gear is in a decent state right now. It's not really quite min-max. In this video, I'll share the setups that I'm most comfortable with after testing out multiple setups. I really try my best to get this character into a good spot for tanking the T15 maps and farming these kind of content. I want to showcase the whole map first, so feel free to skip ahead and hear me talk about what's actually going on with the build. But yeah, for this particular maps, I'm not picking a really hard maps, but I'm just gonna put it out there that yes, this build do have problem with one-shotting. And I need to fix my chaos resistance, which is also at 0. The new Abyss mechanics have some really rippy mobs, and I feel like the way to deal with them is not to tank them. You want to do way more damage than this, and the set of this build right now, I can probably almost one-shot them already. I probably need to fix my gear a little bit and also look into how to scale this damage. Because at the set, I don't think this build will be ready for pinnacle content. But if you are farming maps and you want to run rarities, this is in a pretty good spot right now. But you can kind of see that those big lightning damage also chunk us, but don't really one-shot us. And this is because of the new added armors applied to elemental damage. It's worth noting that I am also on a 6th link, and fire damage has one of the best 6th link in the game, so if you are able to get your hand on a 6th link, it will massively improve your damage. Now, I got a bit confused here on the layout, but the boss is actually right there. I'm gonna keep this as a full video footage, so there's no shenanigans going on, and I'm also gonna turn off that extra damage from the shrines, just so we have a clear on what is our current damage. And the way you do the fight is you're always going to put down your Ballista Totem first, which is the mortal cannon. The mortal cannon's gonna shoot all of the grenades out, and then you plop in 3 new mortal cannons and rise and repeat. So if you can kind of see that if the totem just kind of stops shooting, just put down new totems and you can start blasting again. So yep, that's going to be the map, and let's get back to talking about this build. Let's take a look at my current characters. It's level 86 Tacticians with 51% armor and evasions at 35%. Now, I do spec into this node, and I'm not even sure if this 200% armor is working for the elemental part as well, but after specing into this, I'm getting a lot tankier. I feel like I don't get one shot as often. There's no way for me to test it out specifically, so we're just gonna have to wait for a video on this most likely. We want to balance out our evasions and armor. The main thing here is we are using armor also applied to elemental damage, which I'll get into in a bit. Essentially, my characters have 0 elemental resistance because of Veil of the Night, and we want to have armor applied to elemental damage, so you can kind of see here. Armor is here, estimate chance to, apply to fire damage, cold, lightning, at 59% for the lightning and fire, and cold at 45%. So we do take more cold damage, but that's because of the skill trees, which I'll get into in a bit. This character is very good farming characters. We have 43% increased movement speed, which is really nice. And, later on when we pick up banner, it can go up a lot more. Hopefully they do buff banners. I think linger for 2 seconds is not that many. So, yeah. And also, I have a tons of rarities. 176% rarities. This is because we are using Veil of the Night. We are able to run both of these ring. So it's a very nice rarity farming characters. Alright, so onto the skills gem. You can see that I'm not actually using all of these skill gems, and I'll talk about why. But the main skills that I'm using is oil grenades with rapid attack, multi-shots, and exposure for exposures. And then explosive shots with rapid attack, nova projectiles, and streamline round. So ultimately, this is now relegated to be a utility skill only. The purpose of the skills is to explode as many grenades that come out of mortal cannons as possible and in the easiest way as possible. So nova projectiles and streamline rounds is really the best option for that. For the mortal cannons, I'm using a 6-link right now. Explosive grenade is probably still one of the best. It has really high scaling for attack damage. And we are using Urgent Totems, elemental armament for more damage. Payload, so it can explode another 50% chance. Combined with the note on the tree, that's 65% chance to activate a second time. And the last support is Fire Penetration 2. This is one of the new support gem that comes with 0.3, and it's probably one of the best for fire skills in general. Which make your hits from skill ignore enemy fire resistance, and it's really nice. For the aura, I have Trinity with Cold Mastery, or you can run Cold Mastery, Lightning, Fire, doesn't really matter. It's at one level to the support skills. And Vitality, Cannibalisms, and Clarities. I think Cannibalism feels really nice. Maximum life recover on kills whenever you are mapping can almost recover your life to full if you do get a big hit. And because we're running with 0 resistance, so it's really easy to get a hits with a big hit, and sometimes even one shot, right? But usually when you get to where I am, it's a lot harder to get one shot. So having some form of regen is good for this build. Now, next up we have Wind Dancer. And Wind Dancers give more evasion, and evasion is still very strong, especially in a build like this. So yeah, blind support, maim, and pin. Doesn't really matter what you put here, but I think blind is really strong, and then maim should be pretty good as well. And that's pretty much it for the skill that I'm using. Now, for the rest of these skills right here, the main purpose of this is to have enough gem color to activate Gem Enthusiast, which will require 10 support gems of red and green colors. This is why we have a bunch of skills that we are not using, and we only use them to fulfill this Gem Enthusiast notable. Overall, I have roughly about 3k life, probably where you want to be if you want to map in T15 in general. So yeah, that's pretty much the skills, gems, and nothing changed too much from the last setups except I dropped all the banners. I think banner is still a very strong cooldown options for fighting bosses. For example, Defiance banner, you get 30% more armor and evasion rating. And ultimately, if and when we run banners, we can probably drop this, so it can scale up even higher. So yeah, we'll have to do more testing on that. But other than that, this is my current setups. Alright, next up, let's talk about the items. For the items, I would say that this is a very budget setup. You can gear this character up very easy, because first of all, Veil of the Night is pretty cheap. You can get a really good corruptions for even more increased maximum life, and then you can run 2 of these rings to get massive amount of rarities. And I add Idols of Odins for +1 to skill limits, so you have more totem out. I have 3 totem right now. And allocate for more evasion rating from equipped body armor. Like, I want to get more evasions on our character so we can get roughly to 50%, and that would be the ultimate goal. And then I'm still using this. I think this is not actually that good, but yeah, that's what I'm using right now. Evasions on our boots, and I'll plan to drop Trinity depending on how I like to see the damage first. But if I run banners, I'm ultimately probably gonna drop Trinity and also replace the slot with an evasion glove. So yeah, but otherwise Penta 7 is still a very good budget options, and it easily fill up our Trinity stacks. And the most important slots and also the most expensive slot on your gear should be the crossbow. And the crossbow have a lot of the new modifiers that is also very strong, and you should make sure that you invest in a very strong crossbow to carry you on T15 mapping. What we are looking for is going to be physical damage and only physical damage. And there's a new line modifiers in 0.3 that says increased grenade damage. We want to get a really good roll on this as well. This is the newly added modifiers of the Desecrate modifiers, and it's really strong. And then there's a new Ascend as well to add +6 to all attack skills. And attack speed is always nice on this if you can get a good roll. And overall, just, higher physical roll. This is not the best because it has the accuracy rating. Because we are using explosive, we don't really need accuracy rating. But yeah, there's that. So try to get some roll like this and you should be fine. Now, the other thing I want to talk about is I do have a jewels from Nothing Diamond to help me allocate nodes over here. For our setups, we want a lot of evasion, so escape strategies, careful considerations, very good with this from Nothing Diamonds. And there's also catapult node here to increase projectile speed and area of attack, which is also nice. And yeah, that's pretty much it for the items and setups. For the passive skill trees, it's actually quite simple. I have opted to save a lot more points here. I drop a few of the damage node here to path over here for tankiness and go straight down here. These are very strong nodes in terms of damage, so all you need is to grab most of these and you should be fine. I also have to path all the way over here as well for the heat proof. Again, armor also applied to fire damage. There's also another node here. Armor applied to lightning damage, and there's another one here, armor applied to elemental damage in general. And there's also a cluster for coal, but probably we are not gonna grab them anytime soon. The problem with this build is the damage with hit seems bearable, but when you do run into damage over time, like I said, it's gonna do a lot of damage to you. So, and also chaos damage as well, right? Because we have no chaos resistance, so we can very easily get one-shotted from the chaos damage from the abyss. And again, damage over time, so you gotta have to keep chugging those potions if you want to stay alive. But our node and pathing is very efficient as well. We grab this whole cluster over here, which make us move a lot faster in maps and reduce all the slow potency of the debuff. Our second tree, looking at like green here over here, let me just swap to second hand. You can see all of these are Ballista node, Ballista, Grenade node, Ballista. So these are for the Ballista. Whenever you put down your Ballista, make sure that you use this kind of weapon swap tech. Make sure you never tick on the first one, tick on the second one. So your mortal cannon will use the second tree. And then for the first tree, we swap back. First tree is for the explosive shot. For the explosive shots, we have all these surrounded node, which allow us to kind of run into the middle of the pack and still be alive, right? We have a lot of good nodes here, increase move speed, armor evasion while surrounded. Overall, all of these surrounded nodes are usually pretty good, at least for mapping in general. And again, this is utilities only, so whenever we swap to explosive shots, we're gonna have those things like maximum life, more maximum life, and also reduce slowing potency. And this combined with a few more movement speed node that they add to the mercenary area really drive up the quality of life with this build in particular, and make this playstyle for this build a lot more comfy than before. It just feels nice to go in map and have the setups running. It's very smooth. Almost a 2-button playstyle right now, so it feels good. You don't have to click banner anymore. So I know a lot of you guys don't really like to tap banners in maps, and yeah, this setup allows you to just kind of ignore that. Now, the last thing I want to talk about is actually Ascendancies, and there are just so many good points to talk about. First of all, cannons ready. I'm gonna completely drop this because the reason why is whenever you put your cannon down, if you have cannons ready, you have to shoot first, which allow your cannons to shoot. But what we want is actually put down our cannons, and our cannons will shoot all the grenades, and then we can explode them in chain with one shot of explosive shots. So there's that. No more cannons ready. And for the other options, we have a few good options here. I actually try out pin, and I really like it. The reason why I didn't take pins is because I do get one shot a lot more often. So I have to take these, polish that gear, and try out Staylight use cover, which turned out to be really great. So I plan to at least take these. And then for the endgame, I'm gonna take banners once again. Banners is a massive buff, and you should probably make good use of it. Now, if I'm not gonna take banners, or if I want to mix a few changes to take pin, I would probably remove Staylight use cover, and I'm going to, from this point, I'm just gonna take 2 points to get right where we want them for our projectile can pin. And that is the setup that I would run if you do prefer to run pin. If you do prefer to run pin, also make sure you take these notes over here, which do a lot of damage against immobilized enemies. And because we have this from nothing diamond here, we have a lot of the pin durations and pin duration over here. So I think pin duration is actually very good to run with pin, and you can pin enemies around you, so it can be a very safe playstyle. With that being said, I am really absolutely enjoying this build right now. There's a lot to be done with the build still. And also having rarities when farming can be a pretty good option early on, especially this league, right? We had a rough start and we recover, and right now we have rarities, so hopefully we're gonna drop a lot of good currencies, and then we can save this build further, or maybe even talking about my next build. All of the updates will be in the Mobalytics written guide, and so just check it out if you want to see any latest informations about this build before I put out a video. Thank you so much for watching, guys, and see you in the next one.